Hi guys, how you doing? You join me today in my office, and in this video I want to go through how we find property deals using the internet, using Rightmove. So really, ideally we're looking for discounted properties. One of the highest value skills if you're in real estate is learning how to identify, find and acquire good property deals. And essentially that means getting properties at a discount, because a lot of the profit is in the purchase. The better the price we can buy a property at, the better. So when I talk about finding discounted properties, we're not going to find properties that are discounted online. We have to find the properties that have potential, and then the discount comes in how we negotiate them. So the negotiation process, the offers we make. Obviously every property we identify on Rightmove today isn't going to be a deal. It's a potential deal, but it's only a deal if the numbers stack and the price we can agree to acquire it for is beneficial. A lot of people say finding deals is a numbers game. You've got to view a load of properties, you've got to make the offers, and if you view 15 and you offer on 5, then 1 will get accepted. And that's kind of true, and over time you're going to learn what your conversion rates are, but it's not at the hands of the gods. It's not just roll a dice and if you just do X amount and then 1's going to get accepted, because there are some things you can do in order to increase your conversion rates. And at the very top of that, the first thing we can do is make sure we're viewing the right properties that have potential. So in this video, what we're going to do, we're going to jump on my computer shortly and I'll do a screen recording going on Rightmove of how I identify properties that have potential, one, to add value, and then how we go about distinguishing whether or not they are worth viewing or not. So if you join me, we're going to jump on my screen now and I'll show you exactly how we do that on Rightmove. Okay guys, so we're on rightmove.co.uk here, which is the main portal website where most of the properties, pretty much all of the properties advertised for sale in the UK are going to be on. So what I want to do in this exercise, I'm going to pick a random city that I'm not too familiar with, just to show you what my workflow would be to find potential properties where we can add value and where there are potential deals. Because if I show you, and I'll do a recent search here, so we'll look at properties for sale in Nottingham, up to £150,000, and we'll do detached, semi-detached, terraced, we'll do bungalows as well. It's going to pull up a lot of properties. It's going to pull up 424 results. And obviously we don't all have time to trawl through 424 properties. So the first thing I suggest we do is use this keyword tool here, where it's prioritize properties that have certain keywords. And so I know properties where they're run down, they're vacant, they need work. Some of them are going to have certain keywords in them. Because remember, we're looking for properties that are maybe vacant, there's no chain, they're in need of modernization. And so is these keywords we're going to search for. So I'll give you an example. The first keyword we're going to type in is modernization. Now, when you use the term modernization, it's going to pull up two things. It's going to pull up properties that say they've just undergone modernization. There's going to be some properties that are in need of modernization. So here we go. If we look at this property here, the first one that pops up, we can see immediately needs a lot of work. There's no carpets, need new decoration, bathroom is in poor condition, old heater, etc. And as you can see in the title, in the description, it says in need of some modernization. Here we go. Another one in need of modernization here. We have a look at that. Again, it's a property that needs a lot of work. The kitchen's a bit old, needs new carpets. You can just see it's very run down. It's not been loved, needs some money spending on it. But that also means there's potentially a profit margin in there. If we go back to the search, again, another one. And see, does it say anywhere? Here we go, no chain, in need of modernization. Very similar, needs a lot of work, needs some money spent on it, but potential for us to add value. Now let's get rid of these and let's try another keyword. So another keyword, if we're looking for, say, vacant properties where they've moved out and maybe there's no one living there, there may be ex-investment properties investors are trying to get rid of, they're going to be vacant. So we just type in vacant And in the text, in the description, it will say it is in vacant possession. And so some of them are going to be in need of work. Here we go. So you can see this one. You've got the old carpets, the old decor, the old heater. Kitchen isn't too bad. A little bit unloved, but not too much. Instead of vacant, we can also use a term no chain. And this is going to pull up properties where there's no chain, which means the sellers of the property don't need to find their next property in order to move. So you buy the property, not dependent on the sellers finding somewhere. So for example, we can see here from the photos, this property, old kitchen, old decor, old carpets, needs a lot of work. So again, quickly, we've found several properties that need a lot of work. And then also one search I use is cash buyers, and this pulls up properties that are available to cash buyers only, meaning we can't get a mortgage on it. Now, here we go. If I pull up this as an example, priced to sell, 3 bedrooms, 2 reception rooms. We can see it needs work. Priced to sell, so they're obviously motivated. And when it's cash buyers only, and I can see, here we go, mortgage buyers and cash. So this isn't cash buyers only, but if we find properties that are cash buyers only, for example, this one, 3-bedroom detached house, it may mean that we can't get a mortgage on it now, but there are some things we can do in order to make it mortgageable, where we can exchange, we could do some work in between, where we make it mortgageable and then get a mortgage on it. This is where we get into the more creative side of development. It could mean a lease option could work. It could mean various other things. We just need to identify why it's cash buyers only and then figure out what the solution is, where if we do need to get a mortgage or we need to get bridging, then obviously we can find a way to make it happen. You can get bridging finance on properties that are advertised as cash buyers only, but we've got to remember, if we're going to remortgage it or sell it to an end user that's most likely going to get a mortgage, we need to make it mortgageable. Now, when most other investors, 99% of other investors we're competing with, see cash buyers only, they're going to be put off, they're not going to view it, they're not going to be making offers, which means us as smarter investors are going to be not competing with other people, and we're going to be more likely to get our offer accepted. So there's some deals to be done there. So that's how we use the keyword tool. In terms of other things I do, one thing I look at is newest listed. So I want to look at properties that came on the market in the last 24, 48, 72 hours, because when a property first comes on the market, that's when it gets the most interest. But if we can find a deal, view it first, make an offer first, and they're a motivated seller, they're likely to just take the offer, snap up your offer, and want to get the deal done and move on. At the same time, if we look at oldest listed properties, these are properties that have been on the market for a long, long period of time. Some of these have been on since 2017 here. Here we go, November 2017, December 2017. And the great thing is with these properties that have been on the market for a long time, a lot of the time, the longer it's been on the market, the more motivated that seller is, which means the more likely they are to accept a lower offer because they're sick and tired of it being on the market, agents doing viewings, and they just want to see the end of it and move on with their lives. Also, the other buyers we're competing with, so buyers that are maybe looking at these properties for themselves and residential purposes, when they see a property's been on the market for a long time, they think, what's wrong with it? Why is it's not sold? And if no one else has bought it, then why should I? And they don't really, they get pushed away from properties that have been on the market for a long time. So again, you're not competing with too many other buyers, and they're more motivated now than ever. And so therefore, once you speak to the agent, you can determine their motivation, but it's likely that they're going to be motivated. On the flip side, some of them might not be motivated at all, hence why it's been on the market for so long, because their price expectations are too high, and they think, well, if it doesn't sell, it doesn't matter, we'll just keep it on the market. So again, that's when you speak to the agent, you have to qualify what their motivation is, why it's not sold, and determine whether it is a deal or not. And so lastly, one thing I want to do, so if we find a property again that's in need of modernization, I want to show you a tool that we use just to determine quickly how the asking price reflects to what the market value is. So if we use this tool, Market Info, we look at sold properties, because really what the sold prices are of properties that have gone through and transacted is a much more accurate reflection of the market value than properties that are for sale nearby, because you can advertise a property at any price you want. Doesn't necessarily mean it's worth that. So if we look at sold prices, this property is a 3-bedroom semi-detached. This one sold for 131. This one for 110. This one for 135. This one for 124. So a lot of the other semi-detached properties are really a lot less than this. We can see 150 might be a bit high. Obviously, there's things we can do. We can go into sold prices and do a more accurate comparable analysis, but that's not something I'm going to dive into now. This video is all about just how we can quickly go from 423 properties to quickly finding 10 or 15 properties that are worth us viewing. Obviously, when we call the agents, we speak to them, we can ask certain questions, I'll explain in a second, to determine actually should we go and view them or not. But I'm just looking through here now, scrolling, there's plenty of opportunity. Okay, so that's how we use Rightmove to identify and shortlist potential properties that are worth us viewing. But all of these properties we found may not be worth our time. They may not be worth us going out there looking at them. So well, the next step is to call the agents, book the viewings, but this is an important time for us to qualify each property, ask questions, and then the answers to those questions are going to determine actually, is that property worth viewing or not? And I'm a big believer in ask better questions, get better answers. So it's so important you ask the right questions the right way, and then the information and the answers you're going to get are going to help you determine actually it's not worth viewing that property, or actually this property is more likely to be a deal than the others. So some of those questions, and the most important questions you need to ask, are if it's been on the market for some time, why has it been on the market for so long? And when you ask these questions, make sure they're open questions. Make sure once you ask it, you shut up, you be quiet, and you wait for the response. Too many people, they ask questions and they say, why has it been on the market so long, and why this and why that, why that? Just ask one question, wait for the answer, process that answer, and ask the next question, because learning to ask questions the right way is a skill, and it's a very important skill if you're ever going to be involved in sales, negotiation, etc. So other questions we should ask are, what's the situation with the sellers? Again, it's an open question. It's not, are they upsizing? Are they downsizing? Because that's a closed question where there's only a yes or a no answer. You want to ask questions where you can get the agent to open up to you. So if you ask, why are they selling? And the agent says, it's a deceased estate where the owner had passed away and now it's in the hands of the beneficiaries. That then gives you an inclination as to their motivation levels. Sometimes the agent may say they're on the brink of repossession and they're in financial difficulty and they need to sell it quickly, or they've got a job they need to move to another city for, and they need the property sold by X month so they can make that move and settle in a new place before they start that job. There could be a whole world of reasons, and depending on the answer, you may want to press a little bit more and ask questions to clarify certain points. And so, for example, if they say the owner's in financial trouble and they need to sell the property quickly, we'll ask, how quickly do they need to sell the property? And they may say 2 weeks, they may say 6 weeks, they may say 6 months. Everyone's perception of what quickly is in the real estate game is totally different. Another really important question to ask is, what other interest has the property had? And so then the agent's going to open up. They may say, it's had a lot of viewings, I was there yesterday doing viewings, or we've had offers on the property. And again, press a little bit further, ask a follow-up question. What offers have they had? Don't ask, do you mind me asking what offers they've had? Because then they'll just say no. Just go in and be firm, say, what offers have they had? And agents, not a lot of agents don't know this, but they are legally allowed to tell you what offers they've had, as long as those offers have been rejected. They can't tell you what offers have been accepted. So if the offer's been rejected, they are allowed to tell you that. Some agents don't know that. You can make them aware of that and ask, if the offer's been rejected, you are allowed to tell me, but some agents, they don't like to. And then finally, another really good question, which I like to ask, is what movement is there on price? Now, you don't have to ask this when you book the viewing. You can ask this on the viewing during the negotiation, but the great thing about asking what movement is there on price is it's not a yes or no answer. They have to give you they have to give you an answer and say, oh, there's lots of movement, or there's no movement, or we think you get it for this. If you just say, is there any movement on price? They could say yes, they could say no. Doesn't really give you much information. So asking what movement is there on price? And if they say, oh, there's a little bit, and say, well, what's a little bit? Would this offer get accepted? I can only afford this. Is it still worth me viewing? Just press a little bit further, and these answers are going to determine, actually, this property is a potential deal. So you can go in there all guns blazing with your comparables. You can try and make an offer at the property where you're more likely to gauge the response better of the agent, because you can see their body language, you can see their facial expressions. And on the flip side, if there's a property which you think, actually, I've had all these other offers, I've had all this other interest, the sellers aren't motivated, it's only been on the market for a week and they want to hold off for another 4 weeks for all the other viewings, it's probably not worth you doing too much research now. Again, it may still be worth you viewing the property, but it may not be a property where you can snap it up just like that. So ask better questions, get better answers. You've learned how to identify the properties, you've learned how to then qualify them on the phone. Hope this information was useful. Lots more videos coming like this soon, so let me know what content you want to see moving forward, as always, in the comments below. Let me know what you think and any questions as well in the comments. Like, subscribe, do whatever you need to do, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Peace.